Do I still like it? How was this helmet on my last trip around Europe? What is the build quality and will I buy it again? These are the questions that I plan to answer in this video. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. As you saw from the intro, I am not very careful owner, but in my opinion, the main purpose of the helmet is to protect my head and to provide some comfort. And for this, it doesn't matter how clean or dirty it is. I think that this helmet has to consider lucky because my last two helmets were destroyed with the educational purpose and probably are now in the helmet's paradise. But before I continue with my brutally honest review for this model, I will wash it first. Now, when the helmet is clean, I can show you what it looks like after 20,000 kilometers. Maybe it will be even more clear if I say how many hours it spent on my head. It will be a very simple calculation that most of you will agree with. To ride 1,000 kilometers with this motorcycle and my riding style, I will need between 12 and 16 hours, depending on where and in what weather conditions I am riding. So it will be fair if I say 14 hours for 1,000 kilometers is the baseline. So 14 hours multiplied 20 times is 280 hours. If I split these 280 hours over 180 days, it is equal to 1.5 hours per day. Not much, but don't forget that on my trip around Europe, I got 15,000 kilometers for about 45 days. So the most of my hours were made in very short period of time in hot weather. I gave you all of these numbers and this calculation because the longevity of the helmets depends on the actual wearing hours or riding hours, not on the years that you got it. These are two completely different things, and this is where some of the wrong beliefs comes that one helmet is better than another. If you ever decide to compare two different helmets, they need to be tested from the same guy with the same riding style and probably the same motorcycle. Ideally, if they are ridden in the same riding conditions. This is exactly what I did with my Aero helmet. If you haven't watched the video, you can do it here. And now with this helmet, the O'Neill helmet. So they were tested with me, the same guy, the same riding style in almost the same riding conditions, and the test will be fair after 6 months. Alright, let's go back to the O'Neill. Now after I wash it, you can see by yourself that the condition is not bad at all. There are some small marks and dents from the fair use, but it's nothing serious. Of course, I did not crash with this helmet, so it is still in one piece, but marks like this one here on the peak and a few more small are mostly from dropping this helmet or leaving on the ground. And I haven't washed the paddings here because I don't want to wait to get dry. I will later when I finish this video, but you can see that the condition is, I'll say, acceptable for such a use. The visor still work fine. Even this function here to fully lock and unlock, it's a bit loose here and there, so I need to tighten it at these bolts a few times, and it is the same for the peak. Actually, I have to done it only once, somewhere in the middle of the trip, which is mean around 3-4 months from the beginning. Still work fine. The glass trigger is hard, and I thought that with the time it is going to be lighter, it will lose a little bit, but actually it became even more harder. So I've got the plans to open it here and see if I can lube it from somewhere, maybe with a small injection to put some lube in to fix it. It's not that it doesn't work, but it just needs more power. The front vent work well, no problems whatsoever. This one is fine, it is simple. The locking mechanism, this one works without any problem. Yeah, but it's very simple system, so I do not expect any problems with it. You can see that the paddings are still in very good condition, a bit dirty, but I already told you about it. They are in the same position, maybe a bit loose, but it is normal after so many hours of use. But even that I had to remove it twice to change different microphones, they are still there. Lock well, did not move, did not get out every time when I removed the helmet. It is the same for this chin protector or wind protector, whatever the name is. Even that it holds my microphone, it is still there on the position. So at that moment I can say is that functionality is maybe not perfect but acceptable. Build quality. In my opinion, build quality and functionality, they work together. And as we already saw, the functionality is decent, which is mean the build quality is exactly the same. And I can agree with this. It works well, the build quality is well, functionality is well. One thing that I don't really like is this matte finishing of the paint. Most of the helmets are with this glass finishing, which is like almost like a mirror. But this one is matte, and because of that it holds a lot of dust, mud, everything. And it doesn't matter how hard I try to clean it. As you saw, I spent probably around 20-30 minutes trying to clean it. I couldn't really. Maybe if I use some more aggressive cleaning materials, all of these bugs and everything will be cleaned, but in fact I don't want to spend 1 hour just to clean the helmet. One of the things that annoyed me the most is the difference between the colors. I don't know, are you able to see now, but the peak got a slightly darker color, a little yellowish color compared to the helmet. And yeah, see it now. I guess it's because of the sun, and I guess that probably the materials or the plastic that they use for the peak is different than the plastic they use for the helmet. It's not a big deal, but it is only after 6 months or one big trip, and I don't know what is going to be after a few more years if I keep it, of course. I think here is more noticeable on the top, maybe not on this camera. Maybe you can see it, maybe in different light will be more noticeable. But there is a big difference. Again, this is not a big deal, but it is something that I don't really like. The second negative point that I would like to discuss, or the second con of this helmet, was the pin lock, the integrated stock pin lock. First of all, it was very small compared to the size of the visor, and a little bit hard to put in. I did it, I thought that there is some kind of small mistake in the measurements exactly where it needs to be cut. It went there and it works fine, even that is small, but it was annoying to see all of this fog around your visor and clean spot in the middle, that size. Even that the visibility was okay, it was annoying, but it worked fine. But somewhere around the French mountains, early morning, I realized that the pin lock started to be compromised. So a little bit dumps go in on the right side, and then after a few more days a little bit on the left side, and then a little bit on the top, and finally it's completely finished somewhere in Spain. And I actually removed it, and it was better even without it. So the design of the pin lock, first is very small, then the quality is not really good. The cuts where exactly the holes that need to be locked are not properly made, and yeah, that's it for the pin lock. The third negative point that I would like to tell you now is that it is a noisy helmet. Even though I don't ride fast, and usually I don't ride on any highways, it is a noisy helmet. But if you have plans to stay mostly on the highways with speeds over 120 kilometers per hour, don't forget your air plugs. You will definitely need it. At the beginning I thought that it is because of the always open vents that it's got here on the top, so you cannot really close it. And I thought that is because of that, but then later when I close these vents from inside, just because there's no other option, so I type it inside with the duct tape to close these vents, and I realized that the noise is actually coming from everywhere else but not from the vents. Maybe because of the poor design of all of these angles and different shapes, maybe because of the peak, and the insulation between the visor and the actual helmet was not good. I was able to see even a small gap, and I tried to insulate it with the different materials here. And actually I did it. It worked well for maybe a month or so, but then slowly it started to fall apart and I have to remove it, and then we go back again to the noise. So this is something that you have to consider if you buy this helmet. But even so, I thought that okay, maybe now the helmet is noisy, but because of all of these vents during the summer, it is going to be very well ventilated. Yes, but no, it doesn't work this well. Just because your helmet got a few vents, it doesn't mean that it will be ventilated enough. So what I realized during the summer, that it is a hot helmet, even that it has so many vents. So this is something that you really need to know before you purchase any helmet. I think that O'Neill really need to work on the design, especially to make a closable vents, because it is just very, very annoying. When the rain starts, all the waters go in. When it's cold, all the cold air is actually like penetrating your brain. It is not good at all, and I'm sure that it does not cost that much just to change the design a little bit, but they definitely need to do it if they want to hold their clients. In terms of comfort, I cannot say any bad words about it. In some of the days I rode it more than 15-16 hours per day, and it was fine. It fits very well to my head. Of course, keep in mind that every head is different. Better is to try it first for at least couple of minutes in the shops before you purchase it. But it was alright. It's that here 1 kilogram 590 grams plus minus 50 grams, and even that I carry maybe more 150 grams for helmet camera. It is okay for me, but I am not a tiny guy. But you have to keep in mind that this is maybe on the heavy scale of the helmets. Usually the modular helmets are a little bit more heavier, like 1 kilogram and 800 grams, so this is 160. It is alright, but as I already told you, two negatives: on very cold weather, because of the open vents, you have to do something. As me, I close it with duct tape, or you will feel the cold. And the second is that in the hot days, in my opinion, it is just not ventilated enough. Even that it has these open vents everywhere, it needs a little bit more circulation, better design, I don't know. And now, maybe for you the most important question: will I buy it again? Well, this is my second O'Neill helmet. It looks like I forgot what it was the first time. So, to be fair, I will say that if they do it with a glass finishing, closable vents, and maybe a better Pinlock, I'll be happy to buy it for 150, even 200, even 250 euros. But if they try to sell it the same as now, no, I will never buy it again. I guess that you've got another one question. What will be my next choice? What helmet I plan to buy now? Well, I'm sorry guys, but I do not have the answer. I don't know. But one thing I'm sure, 100% sure, that from what I have seen in the last 10 years in terms of quality, functionality and price range, and not only with helmets, with everything, motorcycles, cars, any kind of goods around us, I can tell you for sure that I'm not going to spend 600, 700, 800 or 1000 euros for helmet, hoping that it will cover all of my needs and will last for many years. I never said that I'm right. It is just my opinion. You do whatever is good for you. See you next time. Ciao.